Alright guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we have a 2007 Northwood Nash travel trailer that we're going to be doing the roof on. And all these black smudges up here, that's from the roof membrane itself as the roof was being taken off. So now with the roof repaired, we're about ready to go ahead and put the new membrane on, finally. But please understand, this is still being done on a friendly budget, so we will not be doing everything pristine and brand new. And now we can just put that down. I have Cass helping me, scraping the roof for me. Membrane's a little bit stronger there too. It's just as strong as a Turnabon. And we have that fiber tape down all the seams and where all the screw heads and nails are going to be. Next step is to clear out the roof, get the membrane up here. This time we're going to go with a PVC roof. I'd like to say we're going with a PVC roof because it is a superior product because it's thicker, it's tear and puncture resistant, it reflects more surfaces, it reflects more sunlight, requires less maintenance, doesn't chalk and oxidize like a rubber roof would, and unlike a TPO roof, doesn't need constant UV protection applied to it. And while all that is true, we really went with the PVC because, say it with me now, supply chain issues. So we're installing a PVC roof from Extreme, which is a LaSalle Bristol company. It says it's pretty vital that we use EXP 90 only as far as adhesive goes. So here we go, Extreme Ply designed for RV roofing, EXP 90. Now suspiciously, it looks and smells
like Elmer's.
What was that, Cass?
Smells and looks like Elmer's glue.
Like Elmer's glue, which also looks and smells very similar to this Dicor 901BA, which is what you're going to use for TPO and rubber roof membranes. I'm not a material specialist, so always use the correct adhesives, but it does seem very similar to me. Ooh, look at that. It's even shrink wrapped together. Hold on. Very nice. It's definitely kind that they wrapped it, but it's kind of a pain to take off the wrap.
Yeah, especially when everything's white.
Now, per LaSalle Bristol's instructions, or the Extreme's instructions, either side can be glued down, but since that's the side that's going to unroll really easily, that's the side that's going to be down. So that's how I'm going with. All I have to do is center this side to side, even though I have more than enough on each side, but there's no reason to cut it simple, so I need to move that about an inch. You can push it my way a little bit. Oh, that's good. I got about 10 inches. Got about 10 inches. So the next step is for us to roll the membrane out completely onto the roof and make sure it's centered all the way down. Sure hope that's long enough. I only measured once.
I have a feeling we'll be okay.
Alright, now we'll just roll it out the rest of the way. Okay, so my 21-foot roll is 3 inches or 2 inches short of 21 feet. And so I'm a quarter inch or an inch short. Okay. Great. hate it when you're an inch short. Alright, Cass, 25-foot roll it is apparently. Normally they give me a couple extra inches, not short me. They don't normally short me. Why would I get 25 foot when that's not even 21 foot? So much for getting this roof job done today. I have to go pick up a 25-foot membrane. I mean, I want to be mature enough to accept responsibility, but if it was 21 foot, the 21-foot membrane would have been absolutely perfect. But I also want to be angry, and I don't want to be mature sometimes. Now, for anybody interested, the instructions do actually come with a membrane right there. Let's see if I can't take a picture and I'll put it on the screen for you guys to see it. But long story short, it pretty much gets installed the same way as TPO and rubber roof membranes. Okay, so we have the new PVC membrane laid out. I have it about the same amount of overlap on each side. It's pulled back from there. The blower's just there to kind of keep the wind from, I don't know, picking up that edge real fast. And we have more than enough at the front here too. If you do need to reposition it, this is the time to do it. Just kind of give it a little bit of a wave to reposition it. But the next step is to glue it down. If you have two people, that's the way you want to do it, especially if it's pretty hot outside like it is today. But the manufacturer does recommend having the membrane a little bit warm. It's a lot more pliable to use when it's a little bit warmer. But as the adhesive is water-based, it's going to be best not to do this in full sun. Even if it was wintertime, you do want to have some shade on top of the roof. Otherwise, the glue will dry too fast, and that causes membrane adhesive failure. And then, like most of these roofs, the easiest way to do it is going to be from the side. With at least two people, having scaffolding set up so you can work from the side so you aren't working on the roof itself. Membrane's very slippery if you try to walk on it when the adhesive's still wet. But I did grab some new brooms, which have a built-in squeegee on them, so it shouldn't damage the new membrane. There. You're going to want some extension poles for your rollers, and 3/8 or 1/2 inch nap should be fine on the rollers. There it is. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to grab this membrane, pretty much pull it all the way forward and go halfway up. About there. But we do want to make sure that we're keeping the edges square so it's not going up crooked. So if it's square on the sides, then we're going to be pretty good. So those edges are even, so we are pretty square. Now it's just going to be time to just pour out some of this for Cass. Like that. And he's going to start rolling out his side, then I'll do my side. And the important step on this is not let the glue dry, and we do want it pretty wet. All right, now we're just going to roll this forward. Cat, you need to catch up. Okay, hold that for a second. All right. I'll just go ahead and try to get out the major wrinkles pretty easily like that. And now we should have adhesive on the membrane and on the deck. And of course the next step is going to be to squeegee out all the air bubbles. A little bit of bubble right there. We can work those to the edge too by hand. This is working out his side. I have a pretty good bubble right about there. Well, what do you think? Not too bad for the back of the roof? Alright. Pretty much the first half is down. We just have to glue the front half now. Pretty much the same thing up front. We're just going to roll that section back and then glue it out and roll it back out again. I don't know about you, but it's quite overheated last night. Well, there's the new roof down. I think it looks pretty good. They always look the worst until you get all the holes cut out and all the attachments put on. We did use a full 2-gallon bucket of adhesive on this 21-foot roof that's maybe 8 feet wide. But it is important for the membrane to go down into wet adhesive onto the deck. That way the adhesive will stick to the membrane and the deck and forms a good bond. You don't want it to be dry when you're putting the membrane down, otherwise you'll have the plague of the RV industry currently, ballooning, where the roof likes to balloon at the front when you're driving down the road. But we don't want to get on the roof until the adhesive is dry, so the next step is to put the side molding on, which the owner did go ahead and clean off all the side molding for me already. You can see the pile of butyl that they took off. We will be putting new butyl on the back side of the molding here. This is the driver's side rear section that I already marked on there. So this would be the passenger side rear. So just go ahead and put the putty tape down, kind of push against the tape to have it adhere to the molding. And we'll pull the backing off. Just like that. Nice and tacky because it's nice and hot. Now before I can put this molding on, I do have to put the rear molding on. And I do want to try to save as much of this rubber, as much of this membrane underneath this molding as I can too, because again, it'll be just like having the membrane tape underneath this molding like most manufacturers do now. So I will cut out the excess because the seam is right about there. So with that out of the way, now I can put putty tape on the molding here, screw it down, and then once this is screwed down, and this molding's down, I can cut all the extra membrane off right there. But we'll have some more water intrusion protection even underneath this using this also. Alright, and because this is a metal mesa on the back right here, I need to add a little bit of filler putty. I need to add some more filler putty in the middle of the valleys of the mesa there, because that is a natural low spot and putty tape works on compression and compression only. We need to be able to screw everything fast and ooze out that putty. And I'll just be using these 2-inch lath screws to put the molding back down again. Good oozing going on. Alright, so now that I know where that is, now I can pull this membrane back, pull the duct tape back a little bit, and I can see there's a hole right there, which means I can just poke that through right there, and that's where the first hole in this molding is going to go, right there. Now personally, I think that using hex-headed screws on any exterior body molding or roof attachments is a mean thing to do, because the sealant gets stuck all over the screw head and then it fills up your driver with putty that you have to clean out every single time. So I will be using, instead of these screws, very similar screws, except these are square headed screws. The washer headed screws do kind of work, but they start filling up the channel on odd places, so it makes it hard to put the insert in. So I do want to try to keep these smaller headed screws in if I can. So I'll just put that in loosely, and now I should be able to come over here and find the last screw hole. Just like that. I can bring this back up. Alright, now while PVC is not stretchy as much as rubber roof will be, it's a little bit more stretchy than TPO roof will be. So we do want to still kind of pull on this as we're putting the screw in to get rid of any bubbles that are going to be in there. And We'll do the same thing right here. Pull that tight. Looks like the factory needed a lot of holes right here. Okay, so this piece is in. That'll make it easier to put the long piece in the entire length of the way. It'll pretty much be the exact same thing, and then I'll cut underneath with the membrane as I start installing the molding. I won't secure this screw yet because I still have to put the insert on top, and there's a gutter I'm going to be putting here too. Okay, so I'm almost done with this side molding. The owner did get me some new gutters to put in. So before I screw this down, I'm going to put this behind it. Just like that. Put that screw in right there. And I will temporarily put the screw in. Because that does have to come back out for the insert to be put in, but we'll do that in a second. Next thing I need to do is just cut the extra membrane down here. Let's have a sharp razor blade. Underneath that too, or the gutter spout too. Because why not? Again, look, I'm pulling on this thing, but it's not ripping. That is one of the benefits of PVC. And then I can cut around the back gutter here. Nice. Okay, and then I'm just gonna scrape off the excess putty right here. And I'll be using this 3/4 inch, no 1 inch vinyl insert black. And I always find it easiest to kind of roll this stuff out. Put the bottom leg in, kind of like that, and just using a bone, popping it in that way. That was simple. Just put the screw in right here. Okay, now really the last step is we need to seal the top of this molding right here, and to do that we'll be using a extreme sealant. I mean, literally extreme. And this could be used on anything, but I figured I might as well go with the roof membrane manufacturer, and this is going to be non-sag. The key to a non-sag kind of an acrylic sealant is don't try to tool it. Just try to do a decent looking bead straight out of the caulking gun. So again, this is really just to help kind of redirect water onto the gutter, kind of a cap seal. So we just wanted to make it look okay. It doesn't have to be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, but you don't want to have an air bubble in it. So that's going to be it. I just have to go the rest of the way down there. This stuff is very similar to the Dicor brand. So it's kind of like a marshmallow cream, but this stuff doesn't flow. It's a non-sagging, non-leveling sealant. And then right here I'm going to fill this molding and put a little bit of barrier because this is non-sagging. So when I put the self-leveling up here, it won't want to go over the side. But that side's done. Like I said, if you do try to tool this stuff, all it does is kind of smear and make a very big mess. It's very, like I said, it's like marshmallow cream, and it gets everywhere. So don't try to tool it, it'll just make a bigger mess. Just a good beat is all we need. And then I just have to do the same thing on the other side, and hopefully by that point the roof glue should be set up and ready to be walked on. Whew. All right, so all the side molding is on. Now the glue is not completely set up, so I can't get on the roof yet, but I do have all that molding done. The non-sag sealant on top of that edge right there. There's a few vents I can get to from the side, but this putty tape and this heat's been fighting me, so I can't put it on very easily. But that's okay, because I do have a freezer in my motorhome. So I am able to freeze it and get it back to life so that it's not so sticky. And I'm even making solar power as I'm inverting. So I'm not even having to run the generator. Let's see. My house battery's still doing really well. It's almost like it's the best RV ever made. There's definitely a thunderstorm coming in over the Superstition Mountains right there. That's threatening my brand new roof, so I'm not going to go too much further than this. As without any holes in it, it's honestly as protected as it's ever going to be. And I can't get the molding on until all the adhesive dries anyways, so it should do pretty well. All right, so the new membrane.